Before we get started, yeah, it's been a while, like a full year since the first Persona 4 video came out, and considering recent announcements from Atlus, I guess it's finally time to update this series. I say after we had multiple Berserk chapters that caused the delay of this video, but you know me, Berserk always takes priority. And I mean, if we're being perfectly honest here, can you even really call it a series if it's just one part? Whatever.
In other Inaba-related news, meteorologists are predicting heavy fog throughout the year. The region has seen an abnormal amount of fog over the past few years, and the cause of the climate change is unknown. Whatever the reason, residents of the Inaba area should be extra careful.
Persona 4 Part 2. Yeah, we're back. So for those that might not remember, we covered the basics of the famous JRPG franchise, Persona, the spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei. We covered the setup to the fourth game, the gameplay, started chipping away at the story. Now a lot of it was still the shallows. There's a lot more to cover, and it's gonna get a tad more esoteric from here. Is that how you use that word, esoteric? I think so. It sounds cool. Let's go with that. Yeah, we broke down the basics of the gameplay in the first part, mainly the dungeon crawling, but now it's time to shine some more love on the other half of the game, the social aspects. We went over the general idea, talk to people to get more points so you can talk to them some more, but now we're going to go over the social links and how they tie into the general theme of the game. Now, for those that may not have watched part 1, I'm not recapping everything, go watch it, fucking lazy bastards. Still, the theme of Persona 4 being identity. Each social link revolves around a person's identity, and it covers this in numerous ways with each character. From someone putting up a false personality in fear of being hurt, someone who feels like life is predetermined, they aren't allowed to really discover who they actually are, someone who embraces rumors about them out of a sense of self-punishment. I mean, the story is around figuring out the identity of a serial killer. You get the idea. Persona 4 is about people and who they are deep down. The social links are key to hammering the message home, to the point that it's pretty much impossible not to understand what the game is talking about. It explicitly spells out what the message is on every level. And honestly, I'm not even saying that as a criticism, far from it. It's not a game pretending to be some avant-garde puzzle that you need to dig through 50 websites and encyclopedias to understand a single conversation. The entire point is to make it relatable enough to be understood by all kinds of people, because ultimately that's what Persona 4 is about. People, our relationships, our dynamics, how we view others, the human experience, how we can help each other out or completely tear ourselves to pieces. Each character is a victim of and guilty of these exact things. They have assumptions made about them, assume things about others, and the story is about learning how to break out of that mentality to become better people. And each social link is hinted at with their arcanas. This is something I glossed over in the first part because this is where it gets confusing and scary. I'm not super into tarot or things like that, so I'm not an expert. I understand the basics of what each one is supposed to tie into for their social link, but is it really accurate to tarot? I don't know. Or really care. I like the sound when the social link ranks up. That's it. Still, the idea of tarot is it's supposed to be a metaphorical journey. Each arcana represents a stage in a journey and the possible event that could happen to it, and it's open to interpretation to how the person being read has that apply to them. Like, you can have one arcana that can warn of an immediate danger, one that's hinting at a possible opportunity you may not have seen without being told, things like that. It's a whole fucking thing. But like I said, I don't know shit about tarot. Still, you have each social link represented by the following arcanas: Priestess, Magician, Chariot, Emperor, Fortune, Star, Lovers, Justice, Hierophant, Devil, Tower, Moon, Sun, Hermit, Strength, Hangman, Death, Temperance, Fool, and the World. Golden adds 2 new ones to the equation as well, the Jester and the Ion. That's a lot of people to balance in the game, which is the point. You have to juggle doing every social link with the main story, dungeon crawling, making sure no one gets left to the wayside for too long. Each social link arcana relates to the general story for each character. Once again, the basics of the idea instead of anything super in-depth. For instance, let's look at the Devil. This is a smaller social link that you get from doing the hospital night job, where you meet a nurse named Sayako. The Devil represents temptation and obsession, generally. So Sayako is shown at first as a tempting and seductive nurse, constantly teasing the player, making advances towards him. Her story arc, funny enough, is this exact issue, that she seems pretty promiscuous and has a reputation at the hospital as a slut. Now remember that Persona 4's story is specifically about finding out who the real person behind the mask truly is. So it's easy to guess this isn't actually her personality. And you would be right. As Social Link goes on, you find out that she plays up this part of who she is. In truth, she's simply lonely. She works a job where anyone she meets is temporary. They stay in the hospital for a bit, then they leave. She's not married, she has no kids, and she feels like she's stuck in a vicious cycle of loneliness. The closer she grows to a patient, the more it hurts when they leave. It's only made worse when you find out that she's only an Inaba thanks to a scandal. At her previous hospital, she slept with one of the doctors. She genuinely liked him, but he was married. So when they were caught, it was a big deal. She was transferred, and then the whole thing was buried. But her reputation followed her. The other nurses gossiped that she was a whore that seduced one of the doctors at her last job, and no one was interested in her side of things. And to top it all off, that doctor she got with was a piece of shit that went on to try to sleep with other nurses after her. Sayako was simply a lonely woman who wanted some of the affection she gives out to be returned to her, and she got burned for it. So she simply said fuck it and plays up her role as the hospital slut, because then everything's on her terms. She knows it's all fake and no one could ever hurt her. Then she gets the news that a patient she took care of long ago died, and it was a kid. This destroys her, and practically overnight, Sayako throws away the character, working herself to exhaustion out of some sense of penance, like it was her fault that he died. Remember, the devil can also represent obsession. The protagonist, of course, helps her not work herself to death, but she never goes back to her old ways. Instead, realizing the truth behind why she stays in this rut. She's scared. Scared of being alone, scared of being judged. If she plays the character, whatever that may be, then at least people remember her. Maybe she can get some cheap affection or attention from them. But at the end of the day, she truly does want to help people. She viewed the dynamic as transactional. She cares for others, why can't she have some of that as well? It's not a wrong mindset, honestly, especially with how grueling and demanding a job like healthcare can really be, but she let it metastasize into resentment and desperation, taking it out on others and herself once the dam finally burst. Now, I should clarify, you can miss all of this by just not taking the hospital job, and that's how it goes with each social link. These little pocket stories that give you more insight on the world, the characters, and the ideas the story plays around with. Sayako is one of the smaller links, which is why I picked it for the example, because it gives a good idea of what each link is like. You get an introduction of the character and their general personality, then bit by bit you get hints of a larger issue they're dealing with, eventually seeing that the person you met isn't really the person they truly are. Sayako is introduced as a flirtatious and casual person, and in truth, she's hardworking and dealing with a lot of shame and guilt. She made a deal with the devil, sleeping with a married man, and paid the price for it. She both represents temptation and was a victim of it herself. And this is a commonality behind all the social links. The characters represent their arcana and suffer because of it. They represent the good and the bad, how it can be an admirable trait worthy of respect, and how you can fuck your life up to pieces if you're not careful. Now, I haven't talked much about how this relates to the main cast, so here's some breakdowns of those and why our protagonist dealt with their shadows in the intro. Yosuke represents the magician, traditionally symbolizing willpower and mastery of your potential. And yeah, that's pretty much Yosuke to a T. The guy starts off the game as a pretty incompetent dude. He's immature, stupid, girls think he's weird, he's got a small penis. Yosuke doesn't start off the best, but the journey unlocks a bit more of who truly is deep down. He's got the chops to be a capable leader, he understands people and isn't afraid to take charge when it comes time to it. Hell, he's usually the one leading the charge in some of the side events, for better or for worse, since this can easily blow up in his face in comedic fashion. Another aspect of the magician is discovering your true purpose, which is evident right after his boss fight, since his shadow mocked him for finding life in town droll and meaningless, and now he has this big goal to solve the murders and save everybody, something that makes him refine his personality to be more careful, tactical, downright heroic. His personal social link doubles down on this, as the characters in the main cast have their own social links on top of story events, where you see Yosuke still reeling from the death of Saki, and eventually growing to truly love the town and the people in it. That's why it's important to get all the social links in the game done, since the stories told in each one are genuinely a big draw to everything. The next one is Chie, who represents the chariot, which from my understanding the chariot represents stuff like willpower, determination, control. It's a whole thing, and obviously that fits Chie to a T. She's a very spunky tomboy that loves being athletic, and is always loud and proud about catching the killer. She is determined to do it, and you see the negative side of that in that she was starting to enter a much more controlling and demanding friendship with Yukiko, something that could have really gotten out of hand if it was left on its own without any intervention. And of course, in her own personal social link, she's always trying to train, always trying to become stronger, and is kind of looking for her own purpose, which, once again, fits the chariot. Determination, focus, willpower. It's a whole thing with that. This is one of the biggest aspects to Persona 4. The cast feel like real people that are changing over time, and you see new sides to them that make you realize how much of an impact you're having on them. Sure, most players are probably just speeding through the dialogue to get to the bonuses you receive from each rank up, but actually taking your time to appreciate what's being shown makes you really love the setting and the characters. Sure, some social links are better than others. Who remembers that tutor kid? Or that lady with the little shit that couldn't even LARP as a Power Ranger right? Yeah, some stories are gonna vary on how much they work for you. It all depends on if you find the subject matter interesting or can relate to the situation the characters are stuck dealing with. Granted, that is an aspect of both the game and the story. Empathy, being able to relate to another human being just by the nature of them being human. But that does mean you're forced care at gunpoint. Some stuff is just gonna work and others won't. Still, you get the idea. Social links are a big aspect of Persona. Hell, they're the second half of the game along with dungeon crawling. There's a reason it's such a big feature now. And there are clearly some that are intended to be the heavies compared to others. The Dojima and Nanako social links feel downright required due to how crucial they are to the main story, along with how easy they really are to get done. Obviously, want to prioritize party social links since those give you substantial gameplay benefits, from new skills to full-on buffs that make the later game insanely easier. Yeah, Persona 4 wants you to take your time to talk to everybody, to get sucked into the smaller moments and take a breath. It wants you to feel like you have all the time in the world, even if you actually don't. Some of my favorite parts of the game aren't even dungeon related. It's the character building moments that take the time to flesh out the cast and basically give you a filler episode to enjoy while you wait for the next story beat. There's a few of these moments spread out the game as essentially a way of closing out a chapter. You got the dungeon done, and now you get this event that's genuinely funny and endearing. I was legitimately baffled when I found out how unpopular these events apparently are among the fan base. To the point there are mod devs that went out of their way to upload tweaks to the game where you just skip right over them. It's something I had to double take at because of how fun and charming these events really are. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, and I found out most of the fan base apparently despises them. We'll talk about this later though, since this is something that should be dissected in greater detail. The long and short of it is that, well, Persona fans are usually the exact people these games are criticizing the hardest, yet they never understand it. Still, once again, like I said, for later. Now you might be asking, how does the protagonist charm all these various people who have all these radically different personalities? That's a good question. It's a literal plot point. The protagonist is able to build connections with others despite whatever circumstances they may have. You can befriend a bunch of sports jocks, a popular girl that's a sort of queen bee at school, an old lady with one of the most depressing backstories ever, a whore. I'm sorry, the other nurses are saying that. I don't want to lose street cred. Even a fox. That's because the protagonist is known as the wild card, capable of wielding multiple arcanas, symbolizing endless possibilities. Our protagonist is capable of anything and is deemed by the gods themselves as pretty cool dude. That's why he's named Ryan Gosling for this playthrough, because now we can delve into the multiple Gosling hypothesis. Also have a save file named Kanye, but that playthrough didn't go so well.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Okay, so we all know who Ryan Gosling is. He's you, he's me, he's all of us. Meaning he is the perfect representation to use as we discuss the various character dynamics in Persona 4. You see, a common misconception for the story is that the protagonist is a yes man manipulating people to get more demon power, when that's literally the opposite of what the story is saying. The only way the social links work is if the connection is real, that he truly cares about the other person and deepens the bond. And to deepen a bond actually requires more nuance and social understanding than you would think. The reason you get different points based on the responses you give is because you're supposed to nail down exactly what type of person the social link is. What do they like to hear, what do they hate to hear, and what do they need to hear? Since you're dealing with tired, frustrated, and flawed people, sometimes being nice isn't actually the right answer. Sometimes you should stand up to somebody and tell them to knock off the bullshit. Sometimes you go for a more caring road if they're already used to being hollered at and need someone that's actually willing to lend an ear. This requires an understanding of how to act in a situation. To understand the multiple Ryans. Let's say you're dealing with a no bullshit personality, someone who does not appreciate goofing around. Well, that's when you bust out Blade Runner 2049 Ryan. You get to the point, jab when necessary, but mostly just let them vent.
Why are you making it complicated?
Why don't you just answer the question?
What question?
I didn't figure you as one for bullshit.
On the other hand, you might have a character that pretends to be more serious than they really are. Someone who wants to be more childish and wants someone to encourage that without going too far. That's when Nice Guys Ryan shows up. You're goofy so they don't have to, but still capable when the situation gets too heavy for games.
It was very slippery up there, okay? I was in the pool.
You're in the pool?
Yeah.
Why?
I had to question the mermaids.
A girl dealing with an existential crisis due to not being able to make her own choices in life and needs that push to chase her dreams? La La Land Ryan is there for you. Someone who needs a strong shoulder to cry on as she's dealing with the worst ordeal of her life as her father's dying? Drive Ryan is there to silently stare. Though don't touch him, he's got issues with that. Got a guy that doesn't know what direction his life is going? Be the Big Short Ryan, ready and willing to give him the push he needs to do the thing he already knows he can do. That voice on his shoulder going, "You got this, man. My math expert doesn't even speak English, says so."
Actually, my name's Jung, and I do speak English.
Got a guy that's obsessed with looking strong and wants someone to accept him in his eccentricities? Barbie Ryan. We can hate women together, homie. I got you. Your sports bros are dealing with some personal issues that are getting in the way of their ability to play at their absolute best. I too remember the Titans. What, you don't remember him in that movie? Exactly. You're not the main character of the social link. You're there to play the hype man. Don't get greedy. Not all Ryans are meant to be the star. A young honor student under insane amounts of pressure who just wants a buddy to help him realize there's more to life than studying? Half Nelson Ryan. Crack addiction's optional, but encouraged. A small child that just wants to understand why the world seems scary and unfair? Place Beyond the Pines Ryan is there ready and waiting, making sure that this poor child has one good fucking day, even if it kills you. Because you've got like 11 other people waiting on their Ryans to come to the rescue. Got a mysterious entity from another world that wants to understand human culture and friendship. And this is hard. I wonder, oh wait, shit. Project Hail Mary Ryan, boom, got that covered, big guy. Need to be ready to be exactly as strong, smart, and downright stupid that the social link wants. And what if you want to charm that special lady? That girl that pulled at your heartstrings and you want a romance for the playthrough. The one you're willing to take that jump for and dedicate. The Notebook Ryan. Yeah, master your Ryans. They are the road to enlightenment. Every free moment you have in the game should be about mastering your body and mind. Become the best Ryan Gosling you can be. From buying books, watching movies, studying, everything should be about the literally me grind set. Was this all a long-winded way of saying you should pick the right option dialogue for the most points? Yeah. Is this bit actually crucial, or did I just name him Ryan Gosling because it was funny? Absolutely. Will I double down on this bit later? Oh hell yeah. Still, that's the social link system, at least the basics for now. It's a generally great system that's deceptively simple. It's just talking with characters. But the mixture of gameplay incentives and great stories gives you more than enough motivation to sit down and give it your full attention. You want to see more of the social links, so you can grind your stats, clear dungeons, and try to find any way you can to up your affinity with the characters. Going through the social links give you more insight on the story's themes, and gives you a reason why you should care about clearing those dungeons in the first place, because these are good people that are dealing with a truly malevolent force that could target them at any time. It's something that just works, and it's a highlight of the franchise for a reason. But Persona 4 nails it in a way I don't think has been replicated since. I say as there's only really one game after it, Persona 5, with Persona 6 just being announced officially at the time of this video, so kind of cheating. I mean, hell, Metaphor technically did it, but, you know, Metaphor's not really Persona in the same way, so But I generally think it nails the idea even more than Persona 3. Now, that's kind of cheating. 3 was the first big attempt at it, and there's some social links in 3 that are just damn good. But 4, to me, is the perfect balance of good characters that work on every level. A lot of it's because of the give and take I mentioned earlier. The characters represent both aspects of the Arcanum, the good and the bad. They're flawed in a way that feel legitimately human. You can see when they're dealing with a situation outside of their control, and when they themselves make a choice that has drastic consequences. You need this aspect to make the characters go beyond just an NPC to talk to. That balance between admirable traits and legitimate flaws. Persona 4 does it so well that a lot of people actually had some of the social links fly over their head over what it was talking about. I know that sounds really pretentious and something that you would expect from a typical video game video essay, but I'm not kidding. This kind of relates back to that point I made earlier that Persona fans tend to be people that the games themselves are talking about, but they don't really get that. It's an issue caused by multiple factors. The inevitability of just fandom culture by its very nature is that eventually people start playing a game of telephone, so by the time a newcomer comes in, they're going in expecting something completely different than what is shown, because you have issues like fan canon and things like that that muddy the waters. There's also bad faith motivation to prove that a game is badly written, so things are taken out of context intentionally to, once again, muddy the waters. There's also translation issues that make some aspects less clear or more contradictory than intended. There's even issues of full-blown political agendas being inserted or cause a bias in the translation, to put it lightly. A whole bunch of things like that. The shining examples, well, that's a whole rabbit hole we won't get into for right now. We'll talk about one later, and the other one is going to be held off until around the next part or so. For now, we'll talk about the runner-up for the You Didn't Get the Point award. Yukiko. We briefly talked about her in part 1. She's set up as a proper girl who in truth is more ditzy and fun-loving than she first appears. Her big issue was feeling like her life was predetermined, that she had no freedom, bottling up a desire to simply run away from everything. She didn't know where she would go, what she would do, just so long as it was her own choice. Well, her social link explores this further. When you talk to her after her arc is finished, you see that she still intends on leaving Inaba. She's committed to moving on and starting anew somewhere else. And as you talk to her, she talks about how the employees that her family's in are actually supportive of her newfound independence. She didn't tell them about her leaving, obviously, but as she tries to learn how to cook and take care of herself, she sees that her family's fully on board with this. They were never against her wanting to become independent. Yukiko realizes she truly cares about the inn, the employees, and her family. She was so ready and willing to just bounce that she never thought about the people around her, what they mean to her, and what she means to them. This actually ties into our Arcana. The priestess represents serenity and inner wisdom, but it could also mean complacency, to not think about the full situation. Yukiko in the beginning appeared shy and silent because she didn't want to show others her real personality. It wasn't expected of her, but those expectations were completely self-inflicted. Chie never judged her for being goofy and loud. In fact, that's why they became best friends. The rest of the party never judged her for it either. Yukiko's arc is realizing she had everything she already wanted right in front of her, she just didn't see it. But she became complacent with the idea that she should just listen and shut up. In fact, people want her to do the opposite, to be willing to stand up for herself and voice what she really wants. And her social link ends with her deciding to stay in Inaba, finally committing to taking over the inn when she's ready. Now, some people with a more cynical outlook view this as Yukiko going back to where she started, stuck in Inaba, inheriting her family's own inn. Some even say that the social link reverses Yukiko's character development, which is something that makes you raise an eyebrow. No, Yukiko does not regress as a character, because the entire point of her character is that she's been wrong the whole time. Persona 4 makes it clear over and over that the way a character views the situation can paint a heavily biased idea of what it really is, to the point of covering up what reality actually is. Nobody demanded Yukiko take over the inn. It was not forced on her or something she truly hated. She hated the fact that she felt like she didn't have a choice, that nobody cared what she had to say about it. She just needed to confirm that she could say no if she wanted to. She decides to inherit the inn because it's what she wanted to do. Yukiko finally does the one thing her Arcana represents. She takes a step back and thinks about her life, instead of rushing towards change for the sake of change, which I think is what trips people up. You gotta remember, the Priestess Arcana represents serenity, inner wisdom, in particular makes a point of sometimes you do need to step back and really think about your situation. Things may not be what they appear. They assume because Yukiko is unhappy that she has to leave, but they never stop to consider that she could be wrong. The thing every other social link makes clear for the other characters. They're looking at the world with the wrong lens. They can have good reasons for it, but it's wrong. If Yukiko leaves town, she never realizes her real circumstances. All the friends and family she truly cares about wanted her to voice her opinion and be her own person. She rushes to change without thinking, which is the opposite of what the priestess is supposed to be. Hell, a thing I've only seen pointed out recently is that during her boss fight when you're fighting the Shadow, despite it being a literal bird in a gilded cage, she can open it whenever she wants. It's how she signals she's going for an attack. That bird is not trapped, it can just leave whenever it wants to, but it thinks it's trapped, which is the whole point of her arc. Her story arc fits perfectly with this Arcana, and it really just amounts to people not liking that she didn't tell her family to fuck off and move to Tokyo. This is kind of the common theme among the misinterpreted social links for Persona 4 across the board. People simply don't like what they have to say, therefore they must be poorly written and stupid, not realizing that maybe there's more to chew on than they think. Some even go so far as to say the idea of Persona 4 is conformity good, never question the status quo, which is literally the exact opposite of what the game is talking about. It just also points out that being an idiot can ruin your life. Hell, the next guy to talk about embodies this to a T, a dude that might actually be the best written character in the game. Before going any further, alright, this is weird. Should I give a spoiler warning? I was kind of already spoiling a bunch of stuff earlier, and technically this is a new video, but this also going into a supercut once all of the P4 videos are done, so I guess I'll put it up for the sake of politeness. Just be safe? I don't know.
Hello, my dear. My name is Kenpachi Ramasama. Kenpachi Ramasama, why didn't you do your math homework?
Oh, I'm sorry. My toast wouldn't cook, and then I had to become a Sailor Scout.
So we covered the intro of the game up to Yukiko's dungeon. Now it's time to move on to the next chapter. Yep, Kanji. So the context for the murder so far is that every target appears to be women around Inaba, maybe even connected to the original murder of Mayumi Yamano. She was the original victim, Saki Konishi found the body, and Mayumi was staying at Yukiko's family inn at the time the murder happened. It's all matching up. For a while it seems like things are quiet though. There's no immediate threat of another victim, and it's actually to the point that other characters comment on it. But the rainy season is about to start, summertime in Japan, when walking down the street makes you feel like you took a jog through a car wash, meaning the Midnight Channel could show up any night. That's not good. Despite this, time passes, and it's easy to forget about the threat of the supernatural murder realm. You can spend time with friends, get pissed off at Dojima disappointing Nanako.
And about that time off on the 4th and the 5th, one of the younger guys got sick, and well, that case he's handling, we can't just let it sit. Looks like I'm the only one who can take over for him. Sorry to spring this on you all of a sudden. How's Nanako holding up? Would you mind comforting her for me? Thanks.
You asshole!
And just take it easy, except for exams. Fuck exams. Still, you eventually hear grumblings around the grapevine. There's a first year that's built a reputation for beating ass, despite being like 15. Even adults are scared of the guy.
Biker gang? Oh yeah, they raise a ruckus from time to time. I guess your place is too far away to hear them.
We live right by the road. The noise can drive you insane.
I hear some guys at this school are part of it too.
Yeah, I know there are some rumors about a first-year student here who's a total hellraiser. One of the guys working at Jeunesse said the dude's been a legend ever since middle school. Although, was he in a biker gang?
Did you say he was a legend? It's not what you think, Yukiko.
Now, not to puff myself up, but I could totally beat that dude's ass. I already beat the shit out of that weird fish kid behind Jeunesse and stole his lunch money. First year ain't shit. So that's all you get. Back to the grind of talking with people around town and catching bugs. Well, when you get home, there's a news report. That actually isn't about murder this time. Hell yeah, good week. Instead, it's a report about a local biker gang that's been causing issues in the area, with a blonde dude being interviewed as a supposed member of the gang.
Young men recklessly riding their motorcycles, disturbing the peace of a quiet rural town. Our special report took a turn for the violent when one of the apparent leaders attacked the camera crew.
The hell are you punks doing here?
That voice.
This ain't a show! Get bent!
Right from the get-go, the dude is not painted in a good light. He looks rough, talks rough, is accused of being part of a biker gang. Even Dojima seems to be on bad terms with the guy, Kanji Tatsumi, though he says that the news doesn't have the story right. The guy being interviewed is not a biker. In fact, he showed up to beat the fuck out of them because the noise makes his mother upset. A good gesture, but he's already been talked to by the cops a few too many times. He's on thin ice. Even when he tries to chase away a biker gang, people see it as just him being a violent lunatic. Man, that sucks. But it's not my problem. Get shit on, dude. Have fun on Japanese Jerry Springer. Well, the next day, it rains from dawn to dusk, and the Midnight Channel appears. And the silhouette shown is different from usual. It's a guy. They can't make out exactly who it is, but it's definitely male. The gang meets up at the Jeunesse food court to discuss the irregularity. Every victim so far has been a woman, but now it's a guy. On top of that, it's hard to see who the person really is. It's a hazy silhouette. When Yukiko was thrown in, the image was clear, a tad too clear. But if the person isn't clear, then it means that it's possible he's not in the TV world yet. There's a chance to prevent the murder attempt before it even happens. They just have to find out who the victim is, how the killer snatches their victim, and prevent the kidnapping. All without making them think you're insane, the cops getting involved, and the killer catching on that you know their method. Easy enough. Also, Chie notes that the image on the screen was familiar, but she can't really remember from where. Like, she knew the guy from somewhere. Which isn't that special, Chie. I know a lot of guys. In fact, I probably know more than you do. It's not that cool. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Please understand. Still, the meeting is called off, and they all go home. Hell yeah, I got 2009 era video games to play. See you later, fuckers. Well, that night, they check the Midnight Channel again, and it's Kanji, the kid from the news report about the bikers. Like, it's not 100% clear, but the general image is easy enough to piece together, especially since his face was broadcast on TV not too long ago. Actual TV, not demon TV. And actually, a high school student that can beat up adults. Wait a minute, that's that first year they were talking about. Oh, alright, so that point I made earlier about how I could totally beat up Kanji, I will not rescind the point, but I will say that was taken out of context, and please don't tell him that. Yosuke said it, not me. Please don't hurt me. Speaking of Yosuke, he tries to bait you into a trap. Which girl do you prefer? Chie or Yukiko? Energetic tomboy, or proper Ojo-sama with a hidden goofy personality?
Oh, I almost forgot. It's kind of off subject, but as long as you're on the line, mind if I ask something? It's something I've been meaning to ask for a while. So, what do you think about Yukiko and Chie? I mean, let's not mince words. Which one's your type?
Now, you might be tempted to pick a girl this early into the game. Chie fans in particular are a vocal bunch that love their kung fu steak GF, but I am a cultured mind, one that understands the benefits of a classical education, so I picked neither.
Kinda harsh, don't you think? Well, I kinda understand. They're great girls, but you saw their ugly sides right off, and I guess your first impression is the one that sticks. Hey, but don't worry. This is just between you and me.
Now, why is that? Thank you for asking. Let's go over some points. 1. Yosuke is a dirty snitch. At the slightest pressure, he'll rat you out to save his own ass. More than likely from a situation he helped cause in the first place. You cannot give a guy like that personal information that can come back to bite you later. 2. It's a test of wills. Are you someone who falls head over heels for the first thing in the skirt you see, or are you a man? One that looks past the easy answer and tries to find the realm of the truly peak. If you fail this test, God himself will never let you into the kingdom of heaven. 3. You get a point and your courage stat if you do it, which is good for the early game. Oh shit, right, Kanji's about to get murdered by a serial killer. Let's worry about that. Next day at school, the party discusses Kanji showing up on the Midnight Channel. Yukiko actually knows his family since they run a historic textile shop they purchase supplies from. And apparently Kanji wasn't always a hot-headed guy that could totally kick my ass, and anyone said they could beat him up is a dirty liar. Yosuke. Still, they decide to go to his family's shop. Before they can talk with his mother, they see her being interviewed by a mysterious person. It seems like we're interrupting something, but the guy she's talking with is already leaving, so I guess it wasn't important. Anyway, they interview Kanji's mother. Well, they try to interview her, but Chie quickly gets distracted. She notices that the scarf hanging up in the shop is the same as the one that was hanging up in the warped room in the TV world, the one that might have been where Mayumi Yamano was murdered. And the old lady confirms that the scarf was connected to Mayumi. It was a special order that was meant to be a pair, but she only took one before she died. So there is a reason why Kanji could possibly be in the sights of the killer. Not good. The group then go outside and notice that Kanji's talking with that guy that was in the shop earlier. It seems like the two are setting up a meeting after school, which baffles Kanji.
Tomorrow's fine with me. Huh? School? Of course I'm going to school.
Then I'll meet you at the gates after school tomorrow.
Did he say he was interested? He's a guy, and I'm a guy, but he's interested in me?
Whatever was said has his head rattled, mainly that the tiny blue man is interested in Kanji. On one hand, gay. On the other, for some reason I find myself wanting to jump Kanji. I mean, Yosuke wants to jump Kanji. Please don't hurt me. I didn't mean it. Yeah, Kanji chases the group away, noticing that they were spying on him. And as they run away, the group realizes that the connection to the case is tenuous. His mom fits the profile more than Kanji himself, yet it matches up with Yukiko's case. So basically, we have no fucking clue what the killer's actual MO even is. We've been operating off faulty info the whole time. God damn it, Yosuke. First you threatened to kick Kanji's ass, call him gay, and now we find out you haven't even been right the whole time. Get your head together, man. We're supposed to be professionals here. Of course, there's always the simplest solution. Just ask Kanji himself what he thinks. Now, that's easier said than done. He's a very scary man. So instead, let's just spy on him while he's on a date with his boyfriend. I promise to keep the gay jokes to a minimum. I won't, that was a lie. Still, Yosuke decides to take the opportunity to get Yukiko's phone number.
That being said, Yukiko, can I have your cell number?
Hey, was this your plan all along?
No. I got everybody's phone number except for hers. And the Y section of my address book needs some filling out.
While we're on the subject, could you stop calling me at night just to tell dirty jokes? You really sound like a pervert.
Hey, I'm trying to have a conversation with Yukiko here.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to buy tofu on my way home.
I only bring this up because this scene's funny. I love these idiots. The next day, the group begins to stake out, watching from afar as Kanji goes to meet with a mysterious boy. The vibe is immediately strange. Kanji is nervous while the boy is calm, and they walk from school together. Alright, so yeah, definitely gay. In order to keep an eye on the growing homo agenda in Inaba, the team breaks up into pairs. You get a choice of who you go with, but I went with Yukiko. The guide said to. Yeah, I'm using a guide. I fully admit that these games are confusing if you try to do it on your own. Plus, I don't trust Yosuke with her. You might drag her into trouble with how much he keeps calling Kanji gay. You know he has a hair trigger. Why do you keep provoking him? Still, the stakeout has begun. As we keep an eye out on the situation, we try to flirt with Yukiko. It goes nowhere because we are terrible cowards, and so we just say, nah, it's gonna be fine. Still, we unlock the Priestess Arcana, meaning we can actually increase our bond with Yukiko once we're free from story stuff. Hell yeah. We can even ask her for her phone number, which she won't say no to, you know, because of the investigation.
Okay. You had me going there for the first part. The second half kind of threw me.
Yosuke and Chie, meanwhile, have a less harrowing discussion as they try to stay hidden. Chie notes that something about the two is off, though she's quick to bury her hypothesis before Yosuke catches on to what she's saying. Instead, moving on to talk about Yukiko and her time with the protagonist, wondering what they're up to. You know, I'm also curious. Let's check on them real quick.
Are you gonna hurt women? I'm not gonna hurt these women. Okay. Why would I ever hurt these women? I feel like you're not getting this at all.
I'm not getting it.
Alright, we're gonna let them figure that out. Still, Yosuke fucks up. He says the protagonist is probably hitting on Yukiko at this point, and Chie scoffs the idea, but does note that this could hint that the protagonist is interested in Yukiko.
Hey, how do you think the others are doing?
Beats me. For all we know, he's hitting on Yukiko as we speak.
Yeah, no. He's not like you. Yukiko doesn't seem to be interested in that stuff anyway. Wait, are you saying he's interested in her?
Huh? I wouldn't know. We don't really talk about that kind of stuff.
Yosuke immediately falls under pressure and only excites her further.
Now I'm even more suspicious! You know something, don't you?
I seriously don't know. It's not like we've been hanging out that long.
See, I told you Yosuke was a snitch. Unfortunately, the scene catches Kanji's attention. Yep, they got caught. Yosuke tries to play it off like Chie and him were on a date, but Kanji's not stupid. He recognized them from yesterday.
Oh, well, you see, we're just two crazy lovebirds.
What do you mean, bird?
Play along, bird brain.
Didn't I see you guys yesterday?
So that's bad. Then Chie mentions that she knows about Kanji's meeting with the mysterious boy from earlier, outright using the word strange. Yeah, Kanji's baffled and tries to explain the situation, but they confuse it with him trying to beat the shit out of them. Which, to be fair, is a good assumption to make. Kanji, have you heard those things Yosuke said about you yesterday? The two managed to get away and report back to the others. The mission was a failure, but at least they gave Kanji the slip. Oh shit. Alright, the rendezvous point was in front of his house. Probably not the best idea. Still, Kanji actually seems kind of chill. He's frustrated, sure, but he's not immediately trying to kick our asses, so that's cool. Maybe we can talk him down. Yosuke tries, and he uses the strange word again, which pisses him off.
Why are you assholes following me around? Damn it, what the hell's going on? I ain't saying this is you guys' fault, but damn it!
Hey, mind if we ask something? Has anything strange happened to you lately?
Huh? Strange? What's this strange stuff, huh? Are you saying that I'm strange?
Huh? No, I didn't mean...
You shitheads better get the hell out of my face, or I'm taking you down!
What? Wait, why?
I look like I'm joking!
Scatter boys. Yeah, as you can plainly see, the investigation team isn't that good at actually investigating. They bumble around, fuck things up, and arguably just made the situation 10 times worse. Not only did we not get any information out of Kanji, but discovered the motive that we went with was completely wrong. And now Kanji is super pissed and will not help us out, which means he could potentially die. Great job, Yosuke. Very cool. We're running out of time, but it's taking longer than 5 minutes, so let's go home and give up. Well, that night, it's discovered that, well, Kanji's missing. The team completely failed to prevent Kanji from being kidnapped, the exact thing we spent the day trying to stop. Now, I feel bad and need to blame someone else for my own failure. I've been using Yosuke too much. People are catching on that he's the scapegoat, so who do we have available? Oh, Eri. How could you screw things up like this? No wonder your stepson hates you. It's your fault Kanji got kidnapped. But yeah, Kanji's missing, and it's a rainy night. Put two and two together. He's in the TV world, and his midnight channel is odd. One might say a little strange. You could even say a bit queer.
Hello, dear viewers. It's time for Bad Bathhouse. Tonight
Tonight I'll introduce a superb sight for those searching for sublime love that surpasses the separation of the sexes. I'm your host, Kanji Tatsumi, serving you this scandalously special sneak-in report. Goodness gracious, just imagine the things that might happen to me there. Woo! Well then, let's get this show on the road. Toodaloo!
I think I need to go pray.
A Shadow is this overly effeminate gay man hosting some show about going into male bathhouses. To review them, right? Right? Yeah, right from the get-go, shit's gone from 0 to 100. It makes sense when you remember how sexual Yukiko's Shadow was, but that raises the question, why are they like that? And this one seems like it took that into overdrive. They go from a cheap dating show to professional butt-pounding. Clearly something's wrong here, and not just in the biblical sense. The group meet up later at school, and they all agree on the obvious. Kanji got thrown inside. But they too are wondering just what the hell the Midnight Channel really is. All they know is that it's a rumor that popped up one day. People around school mentioned it, and anyone who tried it realized it actually works. Not just once too. Literally anytime there's a rainy night, it happens. You think more people would be talking about it, but maybe it's something that just hasn't caught on yet. That's probably for the best. The shows on screen don't really seem like something you want the general public aware of, especially since, you know, it relates to the victim inside. Imagine being kidnapped and thrown into a nightmare world, and when you get out, you have a whole bunch of people talking about you taking demon backshots. At that point, you probably just want the killer to finish you off. Hell, the killer has to know this is how it all works. And maybe that's the motive. They just like watching people be broken down and humiliated before killing them. It's a sadistic enough motive to make sense. The implications are definitely grim. A total psychopath throwing people into an alternate dimension purely for kicks. We have to stop this guy, both for the sanctity of human life and the fact that I had to watch a guy in his underwear get ass blasted on TV. Yeah, maybe I could turn the screen off before the 2-hour mark, but someone had to be sure it was Kanji. Still, the gang goes to the TV world to talk to Teddy, who's pretty depressed right now. He's upset about something, and he admits that he can't figure out where Kanji's at. Poor little guy's dealing with a lot. It's okay, man. But get off your ass and find the guy, or I'm gonna wrap your ass around your head manually. Still, the team decides to go around town to try to find more information about Kanji. If they can find out more about the guy, then it could give Teddy a better chance of tracking him down. This is an element that'll pretty much be standard for the next several dungeons, going around town to find out even more about the targets so you can find them in the TV world. In practice, it's just about finding the right NPCs to talk to, since they'll usually spell out the keywords you need to track down whoever you're trying to save. It makes sense as the story's all about finding out who people really are and what their problems are, so it's fine. It's nothing groundbreaking or innovative, but it works for what the story requires. Still, you find out that Kanji's actually pretty complicated. He's got a complex around his masculinity, being very insecure about it, and showing signs that maybe he isn't as tough and hardcore as he seems. And this all seems to have begun thanks to his new friend, the mysterious boy you saw earlier, who guesses immediately that he's putting up a facade when he acts in public. It ain't much, but this is what we have to go off of. So we jump into the TV world with our new fox friend. Don't worry about it, they sell you mana. Anyway, you tell Teddy, and we go into Kanji's dungeon, which is a bathhouse. A gay bathhouse.
Is it just me, or does the fog here seem kinda different?
My glasses are fogging up.
Man, it's hot in here. This place is like a...
Come here, pussycat.
Oh, such well-defined pecs.
There's no need to be scared.
Fisting is $300.
You know what? Sure, why not? We're hanging out with a talking bear. Fuck it. But yeah, now you get to go through the dungeon and piece together what Kanji's whole deal is. Remember, the dungeons are an amalgamation of the victim's subconscious and the public perception of who they are. So it's the mixtures of lies and truth holding this place together. Sometimes that means a metaphorical castle holding a princess captive as she waits for rescue. Other times it means Anaki's gonna show you who's boss of this gym. It's psychology. Now spread your cheeks for Freud's cigar. As we go through the dungeon, you discover that Kanji himself is aware of the implications here. In fact, it's a major part of the guy's inner turmoil. Kanji is terrified of other people, of how they view him and their judgment on who he is as a person. Turns out the guy has a sensitive side to him. He enjoys sewing, arts and crafts, and dealt with people making fun of him for it throughout his childhood, calling him gay, a weirdo, saying that's not what a real man should be doing. This ate away at him and caused him to run straight to the opposite extreme, trying desperately to prove his masculinity to the point of becoming a thug. The reason his shadow is this over-the-top caricature of a gay guy is because it's his own fears of how people view him, mixed with the public perception of how others see the real him. If he was honest about who he was and what he really enjoyed, then others will ostracize him. So he pushes them away first on his terms. That way, it won't hurt if they leave him behind or start to make fun of him, because he already decided he didn't give a shit what they had to think. But as you can see, it didn't actually make the problem go away. Instead, it metastasized into a psychological cancer, to the point that he's become paranoid about others and especially himself. Since the appearance of the mysterious boy apparently threw his head into a tailspin, he can't seem to get the kid out of his thoughts. So those insecurities he had about others calling him gay, now he's terrified that they may be right.
Oh, how I hate girls. So arrogant and self-centered. They cry if you get angry, they gossip behind your back, they spread nasty lies, they look at me like some disgusting thing and say that I'm a weirdo, laughing at me all the while. You like to sew? What a queer! Painting is so not you. But you're a guy. You don't act like a guy. Why aren't you manly? What does it mean to be a guy? What does it mean to be manly? Girls are so scary. I ain't scared of them! Men are much better. They'd never say those awful, degrading things. Yes, I vastly prefer men.
Now, the situation is more complicated than that, but that's spoiler territory. Just know this. No, he's not gay. In fact, we're going to talk about this in a later part down the line. Still, you finally go to confront the shadow at the top of his dungeon, and it spells out pretty much everything I just said here. He just doesn't want to be judged by people. He wants people that will let him be the real Kanji without worrying about hiding what he really likes. The guy simply wants friends. That's nice. He's not a bad guy. Oh, please, dear God, don't hurt me. Yeah, you know the formula at this point. Wail on the bad man until he stops moving. In the end, Kanji's rescued, even getting a cool moment where he himself delivers the finishing blow to his own shadow.
I don't care who. Won't someone, anyone please accept me? Stop it! Accept me for who I am!
Whoa! I really don't swing that way!
I said stop it! Can't believe something like this is inside me.
Kanji, you're...
Yeah, I know. I've known all this time I had something like you. It ain't a matter of guys or chicks. I'm just scared shitless of being rejected. I'm a total pansy who tries to make everyone hate me.
It's pretty dope, not gonna lie. So that's the Kanji dungeon finished. We saved his ass in more ways than one. Now we go home and rest up. So I mentioned I was gonna talk about some elements of Kanji, specifically the misunderstandings around his character and the fanbase's perception of who he is. Well, here we go. Yeah, Kanji's not gay. This has been a major point of contention among the fanbase for a very long time. Dudes were getting into arguments over this back in like 2012. It's been that long since this has been a debate. It's only escalated through the years, with almost endless back and forth anytime Persona as a franchise gets any sort of news or attention to it. It's one of the big two in regards to Persona 4 arguments. The other one will be talked about in a later part, but if this argument is seemingly so nuanced that it can keep going for almost 20 years now, why am I so harsh in my wording? Well, it comes down to the fact that the game directly tells you he's not gay, more than once. Yeah, it just makes jokes that he could be gay, but that's pretty much just always Yosuke or Teddy making fun of him, or Kanji being an idiot and getting into situations that could be misunderstood. The joke is that Kanji's terrified of looking gay, and he winds up in situations where a total stranger could assume that about him. Now, the entire point of his shadow is that he doesn't care about any of that. His sexuality was not a key to his problems. It was deeper than that. He was scared of being called gay because of what that represented, being ostracized. If someone called him gay, it was because that itself was a way for people to reject him. He knew what it meant and knew that he would be alone. He's scared of girls not because he doesn't like them, but because he was bullied as a kid by girls for being into softer stuff. Arts and crafts, dolls, sewing, all traditionally feminine hobbies. So when they see a boy doing the same as them, they write him off as a weirdo. Kids are cruel, simple as that. Obviously, no adult gives a shit that Kanji likes to sew or make dolls. His family runs a textile shop. Obviously, he's gonna have interest in that stuff to some degree since he grew up around it. But he was bullied as a kid by other kids. And the problem was only made exponentially worse when his father died. Kanji lost his father when he was still pretty young. His last words to him were for Kanji to be a real man in order to protect his mother. Now, his father wasn't abusive or anything like that. Hell, it's the opposite of that. Kanji looked up to him and took his words to heart, but he was a dumb kid dealing with insecurities that warped what his father was trying to tell him. He wasn't saying to go full Yakuza character and fight dudes shirtless on top of the Millennium Tower, simply to stand up when it matters. So long as he had courage, he was a real man. But that's the point Persona 4 makes throughout the story. Our perception warps reality. When you're dealing with a guy already primed to view the situation in a certain way, he'll twist the words you say to fit the preconceptions already in his head. Kanji is a victim of his own self-imposed prison. Will people make fun of him for being into arts and crafts? Sure, assholes exist, especially asshole teenagers. But the vast majority simply won't care, especially if he's continuing a family legacy in a successful business. Funny enough, Kanji's kind of a mirror to Yukiko. She felt weighed down by her family's business and that her life was on rails. She didn't hate them, but she just wanted to know that she could say no when it mattered to her. Kanji's kind of the opposite. He likes the environment he grew up in. He wants to continue it, but he feels like others around him would judge his character without ever getting to know him. It's essentially the same issue that Gojo from My Dress Up Darling dealt with, a man interested in something that guys shouldn't be into. Boiling this down to just him being gay simplifies his character to the point of kind of being genuinely insulting. Like, there's a lot of layers to the guy that you're just ignoring for the sake of making him an archetype. The rebellious queer kid that isn't a part of your system, man. It's projecting rebellion fantasies onto a character who is not meant to be that. Kanji being a punk isn't portrayed as cool or inspiring. He's a dumbass. That makes his problems worse on himself because he doesn't think things through. And it really spells out a lot of the perception around Persona 4 among the more vocal parts of the fanbase. They truly don't seem to give a shit what the story is really saying. Persona 4 is not subtle. It's very open about what it's talking about because it wants you to think about it. It's a story about people and our bad habits, judging others without ever truly knowing them, preferring our manufactured reality over the truth. So it's especially ironic that you have fans that supposedly played the games have takes like Persona 4 should have been about burning Junes to the ground. I'm not kidding, that pops up sometimes. Even saying that the game is fascist for having the characters submit to the status quo and not question things around them. The last statement is especially egregious because the game is literally all about questioning things around you, finding out who people are, trying to get through a literal supernatural fog obscuring the truth, not just buying into the accepted story and really digging for the details. Basically, there's Persona fans out there that just want every game to be Persona 5, since that was all about corruption and rebellion. Persona 5 was fun, yeah, but not every game is that, and they shouldn't be, because it's a gross oversimplification of the world and how these problems actually pop up. Yeah, there's government corruption, systemic abuse, criminal influence running away at society. Those are definitely things that happen in real life, to put it very simply. But Persona is not always going to talk about those things. Sometimes they want to tell a more personal story about individuals and how they could be the architects to their own despair. Sometimes there are forces outside of your control that are to blame for your suffering. Other times, you're the bad guy, and you need to take a step back to think on things. Both exist, and the scales shouldn't be pushed one way or the other. It's not like Persona 4 doesn't comment on larger issues caused by systems rather than individuals. I mean, hell, there's one dungeon that's basically all about that, and Junes is legitimately hurting the town as much as it helps it. Yeah, it's bringing in jobs and money, but it's also strangling local business for the sake of propping up corporate strength. But the solution the game comes to is leagues more mature than just making one side or the other over-the-top villains, because that's the point the story's making. Actual, truly malicious forces are very rare. Most of the problems the story talks about are simply due to burnout, fear, loss of faith, or desperately needing psychological coping mechanisms. To have something or someone truly be evil is a step into a whole different world. Inaba is not a crime-ridden shithole. It's a small town with happy families living in it. It's peaceful. To sum things up, the fanbase believed that the story should have been about the characters rebelling for the sake of rebelling. It's the whole Yukiko should have left Inaba take, ignoring large swaths of context the game gives you for why that's a bad idea. Rebelling for the sake of rebellion ignores the reason why rebellion is a thing in the first place. You rebel when every other solution still has not worked. You tried being reasonable, you tried being amicable, you tried to avoid it, but outside forces will not leave you be. An oppressive government, industrialized human suffering, things that make it clear you don't have a choice. Persona 5 spent quite a bit of the opening explaining why Kamoshida was a horrid human being, and that literally no authority figure was interested in stopping him. So, vigilantism was the only option to keep more people from being hurt. Persona 4 simply is not that. The cops aren't letting the serial killer go around and attack people for shits and giggles. They can't find the guy. They want to stop him, but it's just outside their wheelhouse. Yukiko could have potentially ruined her life by leaving behind everything she ever knew for the sake of, to put it blank, a childish fantasy, an issue she could have solved by simply talking with her family before letting it get that far. Kanji playing up his thug persona was ruining his life. His neighbors were scared of him, other kids at school were scared of him, the cops watched him like a hawk. He was completely alone. He wanted other people to talk to, but was so afraid that he prevented himself from ever having it. He wasn't rebelling. The guy simply became a slave in the opposite direction. A slave by contrarianism. You get the idea. Persona 4 is willing to discuss the nuance that a lot of people just tend to ignore or even willingly reject, that we could be the reason we are suffering. And only after we admit that can things start to get better. That minute of true self-reflection where you see where the path is leading and step into a different direction. For a game regularly cited as being anime cringe, it has a far better understanding of people than a lot of other games out there, willing to talk with the audience like adults, and think about what's being said. You can't solve everything with a broad brush approach. Not every issue is going to have the same solution. That's why it's important to find out the real context, the real truth, so then you know what's truly happening and how to fix it. Yeah, just a quick tangent. Like I said, the problem has been persisting for a very long time, and it's just getting worse as people become more dogmatic and crazy as the years goes by. Now, there's legitimate arguments to the idea that people who spout the most radical and crazy takes about P4 probably never actually played it. They just watch video essays about it. Video essays that also warp details or hide information. Now, if you want to interpret kanji as gay, then I guess you can, though I'd argue that if you want to go down that road, it's better just to view him as bisexual, but the point is that it would be your interpretation, your own personal view of the story instead of strict canon. There's nothing wrong with interpretation, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. The lens you view the story through, not what it's actually saying. I mean, hell, it's not like the game says repeatedly that the character you meet at the beginning is not going to be the same person that you see at the end. It's not like you had a blunt example of that with Yukiko starting off as a proper popular girl and turning out to be a total goofball in reality. Even Kanji gets a scene like that. Well, he's not putting up his facade and you actually just talk to him. He's actually pretty chill. Kind of a dumbass, sure, but he's not a bad guy.
Hi there.
Where'd the manners come from?
Well, I didn't know you guys were my senpai. Thanks a bunch. Though I don't really remember what happened.
There's some things we'd like you to tell us about.
First off, who was that boy you met with?
I really don't know much about him. I mean, I've only met him twice.
Yeah, but you walked home from school with him. What did you guys talk about?
Well, he just asked stuff like if anything different happened lately. I don't know where my head was at. When I came to my senses, I blurted out that I wanted to see him again.
To a guy.
I don't really get it myself. Girls are so loud and obnoxious, so, you know, I really don't like dealing with them. Guys are a lot more laid back. So, I started thinking, what if I'm the type who never gets interested in girls? And I couldn't accept that, so I kept spinning around and around in my head.
Well, I can understand the part about feeling more relaxed around dudes.
I'm fine now. I mean, it was all in my head when you get down to it. I was the one shutting out that stuff. So, our family's run a textile shop for generations. Oh yeah, you already knew that. My parents are kind of weird. They say stuff like, dyes are one with the universe, and cloth is alive. Yeah, that's the kind of house I grew up in. So I've been interested in sewing and stuff since I was a kid. The second I say stuff like that, people look at me funny.
A tad awkward, tad bit of foot and mouth syndrome, but he's a good dude, even acting more clever than you would think on certain occasions. He warms up to the group fast and even decides to jump into the investigation without a second thought. Said investigation, yeah, that's buttering out. The team doesn't know what the killer's MO actually is. The theory about women, kaputs. And the connection to Mayumi Yamano does not work out either. So we officially have Jack and shit, and Jack left town. Well, this is where Kanji actually comes in with a major piece of evidence. It was a nerd snooping around the school about the kidnappings that he beat the shit out of. Good job, Kanji. And he took a journal from the kid. Said journal listed various dates that correspond with when the victims all appeared on television. Not the Midnight Channel, just TV itself. Remember, everyone involved in the case have shown up on the news in some form or fashion. Mayumi Yamano was part of a highly televised scandal thanks to her affair. Saki Konishi was interviewed after discovering Mayumi's corpse. Yukiko was interviewed about her family's inn. Kanji was part of an expose about biker gangs in the area. It all lines up that the victims all appeared on television before going missing. This might actually be the true MO. Good job, Kanji. I'm proud of you. At this point, he's fully inducted into the team, even getting to meet Teddy.
Oh yeah. Now that you mention it, I kinda remember this thing. Didn't think it was a bear though. Hey, why is it a bear?
I don't know.
Me neither. I've been wondering too.
It's kinda cute. Mind if I pet you?
This is a good team. We're gonna do great things. So there we go. The team is slowly building and we have new information about the murders. It's been a productive week so far. Wonder what's next on the horizon. And speaking of awkward segues, the camping trip. Yeah, this is the first taste of the coming trend that the game has, where whenever you close out a chapter, you get a little event with the cast that acts as a far more laid-back and comedic relief than the much more dire story. The first one being the school camping trip. As turns out, Inaba has a tradition where the high school will spend a night up in the mountains. They say it's for team spirit and appreciating the beauty of nature, blah blah blah. The truth is, they just trick high schoolers into doing cleanup work on the mountain for free. Cheap bastards. On top of that, the rules are really strict. If you leave your tent at night, you get expelled, and guys and girls sleep in different tents. So no wet hot American summer shenanigans allowed here, or Friday the 13th. Yosuke, if Jason comes to kill us, you'll take one for the team, right? I have Nanako to think about. Though Chie and Yukiko do say that's a sort of unofficial tradition that some kids sneak off to the river nearby for a swim before going home. This detail pokes Yosuke's interest. Wonder what that's about. See, I was planning on just unwinding with nature. No murders, no high school drama, just a man and the coyotes. And that's a lot of coyotes. But still, it should be fun. So the team prepares for their big trip. Even Kanji's showing up since he actually started to arrive to school more often since he was rescued. Seems like he wants to fix up his life, and that's admirable. Good dude. As we await the day of the trip, Yosuke mentions the idea of getting motorcycles. He read an article that it's a surefire way to get chicks, so he's excited. This is actually the setup for a later event, so let's put it out of our minds for now. Just know that the motorcycle helps you get to different locations in the game that you couldn't before. It's one of the additions Golden added. Like you can go to the beach, or the nearby Okina City. There's some stuff here, but it takes a bit before you can actually get the motorcycle. And the whole time we're thinking about the different locations we can buy upgrades and complete social links in. Yosuke's just excited about getting titties squished against his back.
Hey, guess what I just heard? When they're sitting in back of you, it's like a squeeze play! No, not that kind of squeeze. I guess it's more like smooshing.
You'll never reach 100% playthrough, you damnable degenerate. A motorcycle plotline is technically a part of the story, but it's, like I said, a new addition. You see, the motorcycle subplot was added in the Golden re-release. Along with it came a handful of character building events with the cast. That's right, in the original game, you still had these chapter transitions, such as the camping trip and the culture festival, stuff like that, but Golden sprinkled in a few more mainly as comedic little skits. Personally, I like pretty much all of them. They all end up being pretty damn funny in their own way. You have the Operation Babe Hunt event where Yosuke, Kanji, and the protag all go to Okina City in an attempt to pick up women, and it turns into a contest so you can get the most amount of phone numbers, which ends in hilarious fashion, as each woman the protagonist talks to either brutally rejects him or is completely insane in their own unique way.
She picked up!
Oh, Senpai's the man.
Hello? Oh, I get it. It's you, huh? You rat bastard! You're dead, shitbird! How dare you hit on my girl? I'll rip off your head and spit down your neck! You better not call again, got it?
Man, fuck you. Do you know who I am? I'm Yosuke Hanamura, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm a second-year Yasukami High. Come to my house, I'll totally whoop the shit out of you, dude. And it ends with Yosuke losing his motorcycle to Hanako. Yeah, it's time we talk about her. Hanako is a joke character who pops up periodically throughout the story, mainly as a way of signaling an event is not meant to be taken seriously. She's a heel character whose gimmick is that she's massively fat and a massive asshole on top of that, having a stuck-up attitude while being insanely annoying. Some people just flat out think she's not that funny and is more just actually annoying, but personally, I thought she did her job. They made sure to keep her presence at just the right amount for the joke to land and then fuck off before you get tired of it. Plus, there's just some funny bits they plan out with her. Like, she destroys Yosuke's motorcycle by sitting on it.
Well, if you want to take a ride that bad, I'll go with you. Wait! My motorcycle!
And the sheer agony in his voice. It's like someone killed Yuri Lowenthal's cat in front of him. God damn, dude, I felt that. This actually leads to my next point. For some reason, a good chunk of the fanbase really don't like these events. In fact, there's multiple mods to remove them from the game. One of them even called the Remove Cringe Events mod. That's something that puts a bad taste in my mouth. It's not like Persona 4 is some fast-paced adventure and these events break the pacing. No, it's a deliberately slow-paced game. A typical playthrough, even if you skip a lot of the side content and social links, can still easily reach 60 to 70 hours. It wants you to take your time. And these events are meant to endear you to the cast and give you moments of levity in between the tension, something the main story itself has in spades. I mean, you can not find the events funny, but humor by its very nature is subjective. And there's actually some hidden details about the main story that these events reveal, in a very subtle manner, but they're there. Like the Hot Springs event later in the game basically gives away a major piece of information that directly leads to the ending. Sure, not all are like that, but still, it feels like throwing the baby out with the bathwater for the sake of what exactly? People not thinking you're cringe? Homie, you're a Persona fan. You're not escaping that accusation no matter what you do. Welcome to the club, I'll take your coat. It's a strange phenomenon. Hell, listening to some of the takes you see slung around really does spark an itch in your brain where you ask, do you people even actually like these games? Dude, the sheer amount of complaints you can see from dudes claiming to be fans, and sometimes with large swaths of context ripped away. Like a major complaint people have with Yosuke is that he seems homophobic from the way he banters with Kanji, making some jabs at the guy over his shadow. But that's a fun aspect to his character. He's a ball-buster that gets his comeuppance more than once. Yeah, he acts like an asshole, but that's what it takes for a scene to be funny. Someone has to have something bad happen to them. It's just how comedy works. You can find the characters annoying, but at that point I have to ask, well then what do you like about this game? Because it's basically all about the characters. Sure, you can enjoy the gameplay and the music, which is fair enough, but if you want a Persona game basically all about the story with the characters taking a back seat, play 3 or 5 instead. 4 is specifically about the cast, and that's why so much emphasis was on making you like them. And it does a great job specifically because it's not trying to hide who these people are. They're dumb kids. They're in over their head. They look stupid more than once, they get on each other's nerves, but they're still friends. You can tell the cast fits well as a group of immature underdogs forced to grow up and become heroes. Is it the most realistic friendship in the world? Fuck no. But that's not the point. The game is fantastical and uses anime logic all over the place. And I wonder why this Japanese game, heavily influenced by slice-of-life anime, would be using tropes you see in slice-of-life anime. It's just one of those things that gets annoying to see over and over again, seeing a strange sense of reluctant enjoyment for a game that, even at the time the original came out, was considered one of the best games ever made. It's like saying you don't like Final Fantasy VII for being too anime, while saying you're still a fan of it. Most people will just tell you you're being an idiot and to just admit you like it. At a certain point, it just becomes you talking yourself out of liking it instead of actual criticism. If you don't like JRPGs as a whole, that's one thing, where you're honest that it just is not to your taste. The genre is not fun or interesting to you. But my point is, specifically to the people who do claim to be Persona fans and yet have a laundry list of complaints over elements that are pretty bog standard to the genre as a whole. Like character events that let you bond with a party is something even Western RPGs do. Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate, even Fallout has them from time to time, because endearing you to the cast is a big aspect to an RPG. You need to care about what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because you're going to be palling around with these people for potentially hundreds of hours. It's especially bad when people say shit like the Hot Springs event made them feel like a pervert, or that the girls are abusive during the Culture Festival event. It's downright hysterical, as in some dudes are wrapped up in artificial hysteria, and actually think it's a net negative to have these events since it reflects badly on the game itself. The Culture Festival is like one of the funniest parts of the game, due to the sheer absurdity, and Hot Springs event has that crucial bit of info I mentioned earlier that ties into the ending. I'm really trying not to let this point drag on too long, but it's actually baffling that people miss the point of these events that hard. And for what? To pretend to be a fan of a franchise you clearly resent, that you don't like the entire identity it has? Now, of course, you can't force everyone to like every aspect of a game in the same way that you do. It's just not how people work. Someone can know the ins and outs of Final Fantasy VI to the point they could probably play the game blindfolded, but they'll struggle to remember what Kefka's name is. Is it common? Hell no. But it's possible. What irks me isn't that these takes exist, but they seem to be very common among the fanbase nowadays, to the point that saying you have a favorite love interest in the game can get you a side-eye glance. One of the more famous aspects of RPGs as a whole is seen as dirty if Persona does it. Why? Well, it takes place in high school and the cast are teenagers. Ignoring that, the game is not exactly throwing graphic sex scenes at your face. It's well aware of the material it's working with, and the most you get are little hints and teases of kisses and affection between characters. Yeah, this ain't The Witcher. It knows to keep things restrained to a level where it's not exactly Monster Musume or High School DxD, and yeah, it shouldn't, because Persona never sold itself as an ecchi game or something with a lot of fan service. Like I said, it's well aware of its job and how to handle things. There's no need to scream like a banshee if someone says they find Chie cute or they think Yukiko is their favorite romance. The point of the game is to let the player have the fantasy of being the protagonist of their own supernatural high school anime. Sink into this setting and just enjoy your time with it. If I wanted something grounded and gritty, I'll play Yakuza. If I wanted a fantasy JRPG with an adult cast, I'll play Expedition. And that game was made by a bunch of Frenchmen that don't pretend to hate the aspects that Persona fans seem embarrassed to admit are fun. Yeah, we're a bunch of grown adults in our 30s playing a video game about high school, but a lot of us have probably been playing it since we ourselves were in high school or even younger. It's like going back to rewatch a show you loved as a kid. I mean, Batman the Animated Series kicked ass when I was 9, and it still kicks ass now. I'm not going to turn around and say it sucks because it might be embarrassing to watch it in front of my parents. It's just one of those things. Eventually the times will shift and it'll be cool to admit you like Persona again. Probably when 4 Remake drops and people get into 4 through that, and then when 6 drops, when it will be profitable to see a million streams and videos about the series drop because YouTubers need content. Then the times will shift again, and there'll be 1,000 threads and essays saying those are problematic as well. It's just the nature of the beast. In short, be like Kanji. Admit you like it loud and proud, because sincerity is cool. I'd rather play a game with some bite and humanity to it than something that felt like it was filtered a million times to avoid stepping on any toes. Because do we actually like when that happens? I sure don't. I prefer something that feels like it was made by humans. Not everything might work. Some stuff can just fall flat on its face or miss the mark, but at least they tried. Back on point, the school camping trip. The cast don't make preparation for the day trip. Ryan Gosling goes with the girls to pick up ingredients for the cookout, and there's some pretty foreboding dialogue here.
Hey, Chie, you use potato starch for curry, right?
Of course you do.
Otherwise, the sauce wouldn't thicken. Then we need potato starch and some flour, too.
There's different kinds of flour. Which one should we get? All-purpose? Whole wheat?
Whole wheat sounds healthy. Let's get that one. And here they are. Chili peppers. It's not curry if it isn't spicy.
Oh well, let's just get everything that seems right. How about some kimchi too? Ooh, and some ground pepper.
There's 2 kinds though, black and white.
Whoa, way to go, Yukiko! The Amagi family sure knows their stuff. Let's get both, just in case.
Oh yeah, we'll need some special ingredients too to spice things up.
I remember seeing something on TV about that. I think it was, chocolate, coffee, yogurt. How about mint chocolate? Ooh, I love that stuff.
They know how to cook, right? And let's not worry about it, I'm sure they know what they're doing. Anyway, the next day you show up to the meeting place. After a long day making Yosuke do all the work because we suffered from a terminal case of you can't tell me what to do, asshole, it's time to sit down for dinner. He's all excited about the idea of eating a fresh meal made by 2 girls, which is admirable. But remember that bad vibe we got earlier at the supermarket? Turns out that might have been important. Yeah, the girls cannot cook. In fact, they're horrible at it. The entity they created is inedible. Poor Yosuke is one shot by a single mouthful. He rants and raves at the downright historical levels of incompetence shown for such a basic dish. And unfortunately, now the eyes are on us.
Well, it just didn't mix too well, but it does offer a wide variety of textures.
It's nauseating!
Come on, it's not that bad. That's just your opinion.
I'm telling you as a friend, don't do it. I wouldn't even joke about trying that slop.
The girls need a hype man to prove they aren't terrible. Now we could try to tough it out, to actually swallow a spoonful as they think we're super cool and way better than Yosuke. But we're huge fucking cowards. The sheer aura of the mutilated curry rattles us to the bone. The best we can do is pretend to eat it. And we already fucked up. The sheer presence of the sludge in our mouth sets off the chain reaction. We go down. Nah, you don't die. That would be too easy. You just black out, which is arguably worse, because if any of that curry slides down the esophagus, you're getting the full Team America alley scene. So yeah, dinner's a bust. We all go to sleep hungry, but someone has food. Hanako. She's back, and she has plenty for everyone, except she's not giving any. Thinks she needs it all for herself. Alright, you guys distract her. I'll use the baseball bat. We'll bury her in the woods. While say she just tripped down the hill. It'll be like nothing ever happened. Unfortunately, it's too late. Muraoka announced that it's time to go to the tents for the night. The teachers will be busy drinking on the job. I won't forget this, fat ass. You survived this time, but I will not forget this. Anyway, the guys are in their tent. And Kanji's there too. Yeah, he ditched his tent to hang out with us, which is pretty cool. Hey, Kanji. Well, as the guys chat, they share stories about Muraoka. Yeah, the teacher that went out to get drunk? Shocker. He's a massive asshole. Of course, we knew that from the first conversation you have with a guy. A loudmouth douchebag that rants and raves about how much he hates the students. Even talking shit about Mayumi Yamano and Saki Konishi. Yeah, the student that died. He even says that she was murdered because she tried to run away from home, which nobody considered that a possibility. She was kidnapped and murdered. Even the police accept that as what happened, because it's part of the serial killer case. But the point is that Muraoka is a dickhead. Man, someone should do something to him. Like, teach him a lesson. Make an example of the guy. Someone should kill him. Anyway, the conversation shifts as Yosuke swipes Kanji's animal crackers, without asking. Dude, dick move.
Nah, don't waste your energy getting pissed at that clown.
Yeah, you got a point. Wait a sec. What are you eating?
Animal crackers?
What the? Those are mine! Damn it! I was so pumped about finding the penguin today.
Penguin?
The secret animal cracker! You were eating them and you didn't know that?
You wanted to find the penguin, Yosuke. God, I can't believe you. Yeah, I switched up and took Kanji's side on pretty much everything at this point. What are you gonna do about it? That dude can beat my ass. Yosuke, I mean, I could totally take him. Still, the boys try to get some sleep, and an obvious problem makes itself clear. There's not enough space. On one side of the tent, a big rock. On the other, a steep slope. So the boys are a tad too close to each other for comfort. And this brings up an uncomfortable topic, as we are all still traumatized by the Gachi Muchi convention we cleared a while ago. Yeah, let's get the obvious out of the way. Kanji, are you a good influence right now?
This is as good a time as any, so I want you to be honest with us.
Okay.
Are you really,
Am I really what?
What I mean is, are we gonna be safe alone with you? What?
What the hell's that supposed to mean? I already told you guys I'm not like that.
Yosuke thankfully is the one to drop the question, so we can theoretically sit back and avoid any collateral damage. Kanji is obviously offended at the accusation and insists that he's fine, but Yosuke wants proof.
I'm trying to tell you that I have no problem being around girls now.
Can you prove it?
Prove it?
Because if you can't, we're gonna be stuck here all night, half scared to death.
So Kanji offers to run to the girls' tent to prove he's straight as an arrow. Now, stooping to Yosuke's level is the bad move here. He's escalating things, and clearly you should just tell him to shut the fuck up. But at the same time, I do want to steal his animal crackers. So go on, big guy. I believe in you. Yosuke tries to talk him out of it since, fraternizing with the girls on the trip is a quick way to get expelled, but Kanji's too fired up to stop.
You think I'm gonna put up with this crap? I'll show you guys. To hell with King Moron. No one's stopping Kanji Tatsumi, damn it.
Hey, wait!
He barges out and runs for the girls' side of the camp.
Putz. I declare myself not responsible for anything that happens.
Agreed, Yosuke. Now. Animal crackers. Penguin, you shall be mine. At the girls' side, we see the situation isn't much better. Deprived of food, and to make matters worse, Chie and Yukiko can't sleep. Their roommate is Hanako, snoring up a storm after her meal. So the trip sucks for them too. They can't even walk around to try and tire themselves out. They're stuck in the tent thanks to the curfew. This actually gets Chie thinking about Teddy. The guy's stuck alone in the TV world whenever the group isn't there. Must be lonely. Poor little dude. But their situation sucks right now too, so fuck him. Chie wants to make a run for it, but they have no way of climbing down the mountain at night. Yukiko offers to cover Hanako's mouth to quiet the snores, and personally I wouldn't recommend putting your hand anywhere near that death trap, you might not get it back. Still, they hear something rustling outside. Before we find out what it is, we jump back to the guys' tent to find the girls. They're demanding access to the tent, obviously ignoring the sign we put up that says boys rule, boys drool, which is just rude. Still, they're allowed inside to avoid the wrath of King Moron. So what the hell are these two doing here? Well, it turns out that the noise outside their tent was Kanji.
So why are you two here?
Well, it's Kanji-kun. He's out cold.
I don't know what happened. He just came in and then he fainted all of a sudden. That's all, right, Yukiko?
Huh? Yeah.
So there was no way we could sleep with him lying there, and if we woke him up, he might have made a fuss. That's why we left him there.
According to the girls, he just burst into the tent and blacked out, and they just left him there so he wouldn't make any noise and get caught. You left him alone with Hanako? What the fuck is wrong with you? Before we can question that airtight story, Moroke gets too close for comfort, forcing the gang to pretend to be asleep. He leaves after a bit, and agreement is made. The girls will sleep on one side of the tent, and we sleep on the other, since they're afraid of Yosuke doing anything sleazy to them. Not our boy Ryan, though. He's not distracted by such small-minded things. He's got a fort to build.
I'm sorry, are you addressing me? Because your authority is not recognized in Fort Kickass.
The next morning, everyone wakes up and heads to the local waterfall. The gang's all there, even Kanji. Apparently, he thinks he dreamed the events of last night since he woke up in the boys' tent, which, yeah, that sounds believable enough. We totally didn't sneak you back into the tent before you woke up. No, you just dreamed it. You also ate all the animal crackers. Yeah, you did, Kanji. I totally didn't find the penguin. I mean, you did. You just don't remember it since you fell asleep. It was a really cool penguin. So Yosuke wants everyone to take a swim before going home. Specifically, he really wants the girls to swim with him. Yeah, he's not hiding his intentions. He's a teenager, he wants to see something that'll placate his raging hormones. Of course, the girls try to back out of it, sussing out immediately what the plan is, and coming up with the excuse that, well, they don't have anything to swim with. But Yosuke already factored that into his plan. He bought some ahead of time. Remember, he snuck off on his own to Juness and, did some shopping. Indeed, he is a master tactician of the group. Between the King Moron incident and the horrible attempt at Curry, he's got the two cornered. It appears that there's no escaping, so the girls oblige.
How far off did those two go to get changed?
Come on, let's get in.
Whoa. Man.
Stop staring like that.
Hey.
With everyone changed, minus Kanji as he didn't actually bring anything to swim with, and he didn't really want to due to his strange night still making him tired, it appears that we have a fun day, and you get to riz the girls by saying one of them looks great in the suit, or both. You can do whichever, it's a decent way to bump up a social link you're falling behind on, so, just pick whoever. Of course, you can just pick the girl you want to romance between the two for roleplay purposes, so we're gonna go with Chie.
What's with you all of a sudden?
The tomboy needs some confidence, come on. Of course, Yosuke blabbers on to the point that the girls are feeling a little bit vindictive, deciding that we need a quick wake up, so they toss us into the river. It's so cold. Even poor Kanji isn't spared. Tossed into the river, the girls are grossed out by a nosebleed he had, which is rude. What if he had a brain aneurysm? He could need a doctor. Or, what if a spunky tomboy kicked him in the face last night and decided to lie about it? Yeah, I'm not stupid, Chie. I figured you out. Also, yeah, Moroka's vomiting in the waterfall above us. That's why we're the only ones at the river that day.
Huh? Do you hear something over there?
So that's why no one else was here. Good thing we noticed before we went in.
Senpai.
Don't say it.
This sucks. I want to go home. And that's a school camping trip. As stated, it's a very much comedy scene, though there are some subtle hints at events to come for people paying attention. They're not spelled out, and I bet more than a few people didn't even catch it their first time through. This is why I said removing the events is just filler puts a bad first impression in the minds of new players. Yeah, they don't add too much plot-wise, but they do tease events to come in ways that you kinda don't see coming, prepping you for some twists in the story that make sense when you think about them in retrospect, which I won't say for now, since this is where we're gonna call it. We got a little bit further into the story. Hell yeah. Yeah, this is basically like the 22% mark, which sounds weirdly specific, but Persona 4 has 9 major dungeons to it. Kanji's is the second, so 22. It's fitting to end this part now, so we're not dragging this out too long. It's already getting pretty big. Hopefully the length alone has made up for the wait. I apologize for how long this took, but I've been balancing a few plates as it is. It's one of the reasons I broke down and just got an editor to help with videos so I can get things out on a more consistent basis. We do what we gotta do. Still, it's fun to come back to Persona 4. This is still one of my favorite games, and it's a blast to have fun and just go through it again. Every time I play it, there's something that makes me love it all the more. It's just a damn good video game. And as you could tell, there was a good chunk more to discuss this part compared to last. Part 1 was about setting the stage and giving general context. This one delved a bit deeper into the nitty-gritty, and we could discuss how some interpretations from the fanbase feel downright strange or even malicious. Like if someone who never played the game stumbled into some of the discussions around Persona, they could take away something that the developers never intended. Death the author can be a legitimate viewpoint, but it's very much a case-by-case basis, not a universal solution to when a story says something that disagrees with you. Hell, I laid out that some of it is pushed by interpretation and can come from a point of not getting the story arc, so it's insisting there's a flaw when there really isn't one. It's just one of those things. I'm not expecting this video to suddenly make everyone see the light on Persona 4, it's just me gushing about a game I've loved ever since I was a teenager. It's something I wholeheartedly recommend and will always be among the first games I name drop if someone asks for a JRPG franchise to get into. It's just damn good, and we haven't even gotten to the parts of the story that really kick things up a notch. Yeah, we're still in the early game. You can't officially say your ways into the plot until like 20 or 30 hours down the line. Like I said, Persona 4 is a very long game. It's just how it is. There's a reason this is broken into multiple parts. Next part still won't be fully enough to finish it. Hell, the next 2 parts won't be. To put things in perspective, we're doing this by 2s. 2 major story beats per video. We had the intro and Yukiko's dungeon for part 1, and now we have Kanji's dungeon and the camping trip for part 2. It's a long journey, to the point that Persona 4 Remake and P6 could probably release by the time we're wrapped up here. I'll definitely try to keep the wait between parts more reasonable, since waiting a whole year for a new part is kinda ridiculous, so we'll just see how the dice roll. Regardless, let's close this out. And you know what else you should close out? Your order for gamer subs, use code TAL at checkout. Use the code. We got our ass beat by shadow people for these deals. Use the code. Use the code. Please. I don't want to deal with more shadow people. Use the code. Yeah, it's time to say goodbye to Persona 4 for now. Next part's gonna be spicy. Arguably spicier than Kanji's, since it's when Persona 4 goes from quirky people living in a quirking town to a bit darker territory, in more ways than one. Yep, we're talking about the entertainment industry. Plus a murder. It's been fun, but other videos need making. And there's plenty of other rabbit holes to dive into. Until next time, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys. Hey, loser. Do you want a shirt? Do you want a t-shirt? I have shirts now. Look in the description for a link to a t-shirt you can buy. If you don't buy the t-shirt, I'll kill your family. If you don't buy the t-shirt, I'll poison your dog. If you don't buy the t-shirt, you're going to be the only person in town that does not have a t-shirt. Everyone's going to look at you funny. There's going to be social consequences to not having one of these t-shirts. I'm now making express threats of violence against you if you do not buy my t-shirt. I will call the police, tell them how they're not, you're not buying my shirt. They're going to plant crack in your house, and they're going to arrest you and then beat you up in a jail cell. Buy my shirt.